notes. So today we're going to write cubics. We're going to write cubics and cubed root equations. The only thing is we're not going to count the a value on a graph today. Okay? You kind of can. Remember on your square root test, remember that question that a lot of people missed on the front where the a value ended up being like 2.56? Some people counted it on the graph. They went, right one and then looked. So I know that this one, if it goes right one and it doesn't go up one, like right there, so I'm looking right here from the center, it doesn't go right one and up one, I know it's a fraction. It has to be something less than 1. Okay, so you can kind of look to make sure your answer is reasonable, but today we're going to find the a value algebraically. So, is this a cubic or a cube root? Y'all tell me. Why do you think it's a cubic? Because it goes up. It grows really quickly. It goes up and it opens up and down instead of from side to side. So be careful, and if you're not sure, you can always graph the parent function to double check. The h and k for a cubic is the center. So do you guys see it's the point that's in the middle? Okay, so our h and k is 4, 2. Our x and y is any other point. I would use the positive one if you have an option. So you have one up here at 6, 5. I would use that one because you don't have to worry as much about negative signs. One of the darkened points. They're going to give you a darkened point so you know that it's a good point. Don't try to pick one. They usually will give you a darkened one. So now we want to use, you guys said it was cubic, and you're right, we want to use the parameter change equation, and we're going to substitute in all the values except for our unknown a to figure out what the a value is. So for y, I'm going to use 5. 5 is equal to unknown a times my x minus my h cubed and then plus my k. So that's what I'm solving to find the a value. So I'm just replacing all the variables except for a. So I can simplify it a little bit, right? So 6 minus 4 gives me 2, cubed plus 2, and then someone said minus 2. Did you mean to move the 2 that's added on the end? Oh, okay, good. So we could subtract that 2, and that leaves me with 3 equals a times, what is 2 cubed? 8. So you could cube that 2, 2 times 2 times 2, and then how do I get rid of that? Divide by 8. Yeah, so the a value is 3/8, which is a fraction less than 1. Be careful, because one thing I notice is right here at this step, I get people that tell me, oh, I need to take the cubed root of both sides. Don't do that, because we're really just solving for a. We're trying to get a by itself. So not when you're solving. Only if I have a variable, like I had x cubed there, and I was solving for that. So now that I know the a value, I can write the equation. So I'm going to write y equals, I'm going to put the a value in, and then I have my x. And so on a problem like this, I need to put my h and k in the equation to let the reader know where the center is. So I'm going to put minus 4 plus 2. So this is a lot like the problem that had a graph on your square root test where you had to find a and then write the equation. So you're going to find a and write the equation. And you're going to do that on the first 4 problems on your assignment. Sometimes, so let's look at number 2. That's a good question. So sometimes there'll be fractions. Sometimes it might be a whole number, but maybe it's one that you just can't be certain of that you have to verify. So the first one we did was an example of a cubic function. What kind of function is this one? It's a cube root because it's going left and right. So I'm going to use the other equation this time for a cubed root. So I look for my 3 points. There's one here, there's one here, there's one here. This is my h and k. That's the center. So you have to be careful because the scale is counting by 2. So it's -2, -3. That's my h and k. That's the center. Let's go ahead and use the positive point. So +5, +5. And you can use the -1. I just don't like to deal with the negative sign, so I just picked the other one. So now we're going to substitute those values into the cube root parameter change function right here. There's my formula. So instead of y, I'm going to use 5. Good. Equals unknown a cubed root of, what do I use for x? Good. And that h is -2, so -2 plus 2. And on the outside, it tells the truth, so -3. Good. So now I just have to solve for a. So I can kind of simplify a little bit. This will be the cubed root of 7 minus 3. What would you do next? Good. Add 3 to both sides. And so I get 8 equals a times the cubed root of 7. So now what would you do? Divide by the cubed root of 7. Okay, and so that's an actual number. We're just trying to get a by itself, that you can type this in your calculator. So everybody take a minute and let's type in 8 divided by the cubed root of 7 in a calculator to see what that looks like. So we go 8 divided by, what button do I push? Because you guys couldn't remember this. There you go, math. Where's cube? That's awesome. Where's cubed root? Which number? Good. Number 4 and 7. Enter. Good. So 4.18. So sometimes your answer will be a fraction. I don't think this makes a clean decimal. Let's check. Maybe I want, or a clean fraction from that decimal. Let's look. So math, frac, enter, enter. It doesn't make a nice clean fraction. So let's just use 4.18. So 4.18, we could use that. Okay, so going back to your question, you said, is it always a fraction? Sometimes you'll use a decimal. It's usually not going to be a whole number on activities like this. So let's check to see if it's reasonable. 1 cubed is going up 1, 2, 3, 4. Somewhere in between 4 and 5. So it's reasonable, right? It makes sense. Who can write the equation? Mia, you want to help me write the equation? What's it going to look like? What's the equation going to look like? Shh, Leo.
The square root of x plus -.
She did a good job. You guys agree? Okay. All right. So you have an assignment with 4 problems like that on it.